Hello, in this training session, we will be talking about how you can make an API call to your local Edge microservice that's been deployed to the Mimic edgeEngine platform to your local iOS device, and also about some support options for the client library. But first, let's make sure that we have initialized our CocoaPod distribution system for our project with pod install, so that we can open the Xcode workspace file like this. And let's add some call that will be used to make that microservice API call. I prepared something earlier, and this, as you can see, this call is using an Alamo Fire networking library. So let's import it to our view controller here in the top, so we don't get those compilation errors anymore. And the Alamo Fire library is a dependency of the Mimic client library, so you already have the library installed as part of the CocoaPod distribution. So let's run the application and to see that it compiles without any issues. As you can see, it's compiled okay without any issues. So let's examine our function here called microservice. So first, again, we will need our edgeEngine access token. We will try to extract it from our memory variable. So we need to make sure that in the authorize with developer ID token, we use a proper developer ID token from Mimic console. And if you're not sure what this process means, then please check one of the earlier training sessions that was talking about authorization. So once we confirm that we have our edgeEngine access token, we also confirm that we have stored a reference to our deployed microservice. This will be done during the deploy call. We also attempt to extract the base API path of this microservice. So this is the path where the microservice has been deployed to. So we will need this in order to construct our URL for the API call. So it starts with the edgeEngine service link, which we can get from the instance function here. We append our microservice-based API to it. And then we append our actual microservice endpoint that we want to call with any queries that we use. You might or might not have any queries. In our example, we use an owner code, and we also use a type for the information we're looking for. So it's the edgeEngine service link plus the base path for your microservice plus the endpoint and any queries. So that's a URL. We verify that we can initialize the URL. Then for the authorization, we will be using a bearer, and it needs to contain the edgeEngine access code that we got from the developer ID token authorization. As I said earlier, we're using Alamo Fire, the library to make this call. It's a get. Our parameters, we have our headers. And then in the response, we are using a helper function from the new client library that verifies and parses the response from the microservice. And if there is no error, we're going to print the content of the response. All right, so let's add additional button to our UI so we can make that call. So let's go to our view here, right after information, we're going to be adding an additional one. Let's call it call, size 35. Now we will connect the button to an IB outlet. Let's copy it over here. Call button. Let's connect them together. So every time we tap on the call button, it will call our function. So let's go back to our view controller. As I mentioned earlier, we will need the edgeEngine access token. And for that, we will need to authorize with the developer ID token from the mimik developer console. So let's go there, get our token, paste it here, and now we can rerun our application. We should see additional button call. Yes, there it is. So let's go in order one by one. First, edgeEngine startup. You can see it started up correctly. Now let's do the authorized call. Successful. We got our edgeEngine access token. And in the completion block, we are storing in the memory variable. Let's now do microservice deploy call. Deployed. Let's do the information call. Get information about our microservice. Everything seems to be okay. And let's clear the log. And now let's go for microservice call. You can see it was successful, and we got our information JSON back and all kinds of information. So this will obviously depend on what the response payload for your microservice is. And in our case, it was debug information about the edgeEngine instance. All right, so this is how you make a call to your microservice. Just remember how you can how you have to construct the API path with the edgeEngine service link, your own endpoint, any queries you might have, and you need to do the authorization header. And that should be it. And so I have to finish off, I have some additional information about the client library updates. There are frequent releases via the CocoaPods distribution system, so you can check that at our GitHub page. As you can see, it's been fairly frequent releases. For additional support, you can go to Stack Overflow, where you can ask questions with the tag edgeEngine if you have any edgeEngine related questions. And then also you can contact us and Mimik here at the Mimik developer portal, or email us. So yeah, I think that's everything, and I thank you very much.